now I want to move on to our next panelist. And, I learned yesterday that from Erica Linke, who is the librarian of Carnegie Mellon University, and she said in her talk yesterday that back in 2001, when Dr. Reddy proposed the Million Book Project, the library world's reaction was unrealistic. But one major academic library stepped forward, and that was the University of Toronto, then under the leadership of Carol Moore. She said, let's do it. Let's digitize our collections in the public domain. And back in 2005, our next speaker was still a young student. She was actually digitizing the books themselves as her job. And she got her degrees, and she has experienced every step of the process since then. Today, our next speaker is the Special Collections Projects Librarian at the University of Toronto Libraries. Please welcome Liz Ridolfo with her talk, From Both Sides of the Desk, University of Toronto Digitization History and Perspectives. Welcome, Liz.
Thanks so much for having me at this wonderful celebration. So I've been a rare book librarian at the University of Toronto's Fisher Library for the past 10 years. But before that, I worked at the IA Scanning Center in its early days as a scanner, and later a metadata specialist and a supervisor. This room that you can see in the picture in the background is the Rare Book Library. And when we give tours, a common question is this all online yet? And so we always have to answer that we're doing some work, but it's a very complicated question. Some background at the University of Toronto Libraries. So we're the fourth largest library system in North America and the largest academic library system in Canada. The Rare Book Library has over 700,000 volumes, and there are over 12 million print volumes in the UofT library system. There were some explorations and studies into digitization in the 1990s, as everyone was interested in what it might be able to do for us. There was a question of balancing the needs of the scientific community, of faculty members, and the university administration, who all had different opinions about what direction digital collections and tools should go. In the early 2000s, the university planned some digitization projects with an in-house digitization studio, and the early sites focused on a lot of the material held at the Rare Book Library where I work, which is unique Canadian material. Such as the material related to the discovery of insulin at the University of Toronto. An interesting note from former Chief Librarian Carol Moore is that one of the earliest, most popular digitized items was a Canadian book of 19th century knitting patterns. In 2004, the library joined a project with two scribes at the Kelly Library at St. Michael's College, planning to digitize all of the works of Cardinal John Henry Newman to create a complete virtual digital collection of Newman's works. IA began collaborating with the U of T more generally to try to find ways of digitizing books quickly and efficiently. And the Special Collections Libraries brought some material to these machines for early testing. The first scanning machines, like the one you see on the left, were not ideal for rare material because of the amount of contact that they had with the pages. Around the same time, I answered an advertisement on Craigslist for a contract book scanner, as a new scribe was heading to the University of Toronto and needed operators. And the pace of digitization rapidly increased from that time on. There were many reasons to participate in digitization initiatives at that time, from donors wanting to have their archival collections digitized to faculty and staff wanting to create curated collections for online teaching. Many institutions were being approached for partnerships, but Chief Librarian Carol Moore at the time insisted that it was more important to have free and open access to the material, and that would be ongoing. So digitization through the Internet Archive meant that the library was encouraging the greatest possible degree of access to the materials. Digitization also promised to help with the ever-present consideration of space, as material that was low use could be scanned and sent off-site and make more space in the library for student space and for new collections. Rare material has special considerations. So existing staff would have to find the resources to figure out workflow. We had to consider metadata and security. And at first, buy-in was difficult as far as the usefulness and permanence of these kind of digital projects. The lower cost helped to convince people to participate in the project, but there were also questions of how to handle things that are special to rare materials, such as books that go right to left, books with fold-out maps and diagrams, books that are bolted so their pages have not been opened, and material with annotations. Also, security and climate control were an issue. The books have to leave the rare book library to go into a building that does not have humidity and temperature controls. Are they going to be damaged forever? Or are they going to survive the process of digitization unharmed? But many of these questions were answered over the years. And so from the slow pace of 267 Fisher titles digitized in the first year, we progressed to tens of thousands in the following year. By 2008, there were 23 scribes running at 2 different shifts on Robarts Library. And by 2010, we had reached the milestone of 250,000 books scanned. At that time, I was an evening shift supervisor and part of a community who really were very proud of what they did. And we hosted countless tours of international academics and librarians curious about the technology and very excited about the projects. We digitized major collections such as government documents and Canadian literature, Haggadot, archival manuscript donations, and material from science and medicine collections. There were many changes and developments in technology, workflow, and processes at my time at IA, but a lot of it encouraged me to pursue my degree, and so I went for my master's in 2010 while still working at IA. Part of it was participating in special international projects such as the Balinese manuscript digitization project. 10 years on, there are currently about 426,000 books from the University of Toronto on IA. The experience of working through the process was extremely helpful, and these materials are still very useful to this day. In normal times, we would reference the works on IA for teaching and reference. We would also do outreach using the digitized material, but it was especially important during the pandemic when we kept students engaged with rare materials through helping with assignments, using Internet Archive material, creating at-home transcription projects using the IIIF offerings on IA, and creating digital exhibits on Omeka using the IIIF offerings on IA. So I scanned and participated in the work of over 30,000 volumes at my time at the Internet Archive, and I'm extremely proud to have my name attached to them. At every teaching session, we're guaranteed to reference these materials and continue to bring as much as possible to be scanned and shared widely. Thank you.